Hi guys, this is work capacity day 2. So today we're going to look at a couple of other variations of some of our options for training. So not so much a training style, but specifically looking at our cardiac output. How can we kind of get our body working together better, both with our muscles and basically training our heart by using our muscles. So instead of going out and running on the pavement or whatever it is and doing that sort of same old training, maybe how can we incorporate the muscles a little bit more? And this can be great for individuals who have a focus on muscle mass and are maybe working towards strength or hypertrophy, and they have not been doing a whole lot of cardiovascular work or focus. So this could be a good middle ground for them in working their way back into more of a cardiovascular focus. And conversely, this could also be a good middle ground for our basically our long distance runners or our swimmers who are spending so much time centered and focused on their cardiovascular work, and they're not getting as much muscular development. So this could basically be sort of a middle ground between those two, and it could also just be a good way to mix things up. So let's revisit our tempo training. Tempo training, remember, we're going to have slow twitch muscle fibers getting activated, and we're going to increase the number of mitochondria within the muscles. And so this is using strength training or more common resistance training methods to grow your heart rate, or grow your cardiovascular system, not your heart rate, excuse me, although your heart rate will be up while you're doing this. And we're going to do repetitions of 45-second repetitions. So for me, what I'm going to do a lot of times is I'm going to do a 2-second concentric, a 1-second isometric, and a 2-second eccentric, something like that. So I'm going to do about 5-second reps, and I'll do 8 to 10 of them. Really not much resting or pausing in there. So I'm going to put in that one count isometric, but that's really just to kind of give myself a little bit of control, but not real long, and constant breathing. So not going so heavy that we're practicing the Valsalva maneuver. And if you're looking at the tempo and the tempo of the time under tension of the sets, as well as the rest period in between the sets, the intensity is not going to be super high as far as relative to your 1 rep max, because then you're getting into more strength training and maybe hypertrophy work, and that's just going to be hard to replicate with that kind of rest period for 3 to 4 sets. So we're going to do 30 to 40 seconds of rest between sets. And if we were doing a normal workout, we would take 6 to 8 minutes of active recovery between exercises. And active recovery can be walking around, it can be some stretching, some dynamic stretching, or you can just lay down and do some abs. So don't overthink your active recovery. Just keep in mind that it is supposed to be productive and recuperative at the same time. And then normally we would do 3 to 5 sets per exercise and 3 to 4 exercises per workout. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 1 set per exercise, because I'm just going to demonstrate. I think you guys in the last video where I edited it and you guys see me slamming ropes a lot and talking my way through it, you guys have kind of seen me sweat and suffer a little bit already. So I thought I'd save you guys some time and not do a full workout, and I would just do some samples and talk about it a little bit more. So instead of doing 3 to 5 sets per exercise, I'm going to do 1 set per exercise, and I'm going to use 4 exercises today just to kind of help us talk through a little bit. And then for our high intensity cardio training, we're going to do high intensity we're going to do some high intensity work that's going to increase the oxidation of fast twitch muscle fibers and increase the number of mitochondria within those fast twitch muscle fibers. We're going to do max resistance low speed. So these are 2 separate workouts. Yes, I'm doing them in the same video today, but that's just to simplify things and give you guys less material to just watch and kind of yawn at. So we're going to go max resistance. I'm going to choose to do that on a recumbent bike with a little bit of a readout so you guys can kind of watch and keep me honest on my reps per minute. Heart rate at 150 to 160. So again, if you're using the 6 to 20 scale, that's a 15 out of 20. And if you're looking at maybe a scale of 1 to 10, that's more of like a 7. That's like a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10. And you'd go 5 to 10 minutes of active rest between sets. Again, I'm just going to do one set today just so you guys don't get bored out of your minds, but I really hope that you take what we're doing today and you practice it. So either join me in the demo lifts or take your time and pick one of these exercises and perform, or pick one of these training styles and perform an entire training workout like that, or several training workouts like that. And then our volume is going to be 10 to 20 minutes per set. I'm going to do a 10-minute set, and it says 1 to 3 sets per workout. Again, I'm just doing a single set today. So let's assume that I've already done a little bit of a warm-up, although to be honest, I haven't. So let's assume I've done a little bit of a warm-up already. And so starting out with that tempo training, what 4 exercises would you pick to do? For me, I'm thinking I want to do full body exercises. Again, the goal is not necessarily to have a strength day or a hypertrophy day. The goal is to get that heart working a little bit more, right? So today I'm choosing push-ups, front squats, lat pull downs, and RDLs. So I'm going to try to do it without moving the camera here, and basically my goal is to hit a set, take about, of one exercise, take about 20 or 30 seconds of rest. Although that's not prescribed, your prescribed rest is 30 to 40 seconds of rest between sets. And I'm gonna hit a set of one exercise, kind of do a demo, chat a little bit, and then I'll move on to that next exercise. Again, I'm aiming for 4 to 5 second reps for 8 to 10 reps per set. And let's just see if we can get, my head's already shiny, but maybe we'll get me sweating a little bit and it'll get a little bit shinier and just keep my heart rate up a little bit. So starting out on push-ups, here we go. And again, I'm being lazy with my warm-up today. Ordinarily, it would be smart to do some mobilization, activation, potentiation. But since the focus today is on my heart rate, what you'd really want to do is focus on your heart rate. And I'm not getting too dynamic or ballistic today, so I wouldn't be really concerned about like an orthopedic injury or a skeletal muscle injury. But I'd want to get that heart rate up a little bit. And to be honest, I'm kind of using these 4 tempo sets as kind of a warm-up for that high-intensity cardio training that I'm going to do on the bike in a little bit. So here we go. Alright, so there's 10 reps of push-ups. Hopefully my tempo was acceptable. I know I came up a little bit quicker than I wanted to on a couple of reps. Probably just because I basically never do slow concentric work. That was a little awkward for me, so that's something I would practice a little bit. And using that as a warm-up set, I would then know to be a little bit more disciplined on my next set. And be really disciplined on that concentric rep of coming up a little bit slower. But as far as, and as you can hear, my heart rate got up a little bit, so I'm breathing a little funky, but You know, I kind of want to do those by the squat rack. It works out that all my movements are going to be on frame like this. But if I thought my muscles were not going to make the next set, what I would do is I would decrease the intensity a little bit and elevate my hands. And so then my muscles would not be challenged too much. I wouldn't want to be failing, but I would be successful in getting my heart rate up and basically following the parameters of the cardiovascular portion of training. Let's see if we can make sure we're on here. So let's see. Yeah, here we go for front squats. That was my break. Nice. On that front squat, I totally lost track of reps, so not sure how I did there. And I probably got on a little bit slower on the way down. I was probably cheating just a little bit on the way down, so I could use a little bit more discipline there, a little bit more coaching, self-coaching, or to have somebody here give me a reality check and saying that I was moving too fast. But as you can hear, it got the wind out of me a little bit. Or is that exhausting to my muscles? No, not really. I think if I was doing subsequent sets, I think on the push-ups, I would have stayed about the same, maybe added a little bit of weight, maybe elevated my feet by an inch or two or something like that, just to make it a hair harder. And on that front squat, I think if I was going again, I think for my next set, I would kick that weight up. That bar seemed a little bit light to stress me out as much as I think I'm capable of taking on. Yeah, so far so good. And again, taking one set at a time. Now I'm gonna work my way over to lat pull downs. And yeah, you guys can see me in the mirror there. Yeah, so I would say that being, I tried to hit a warm-up set ahead of time to kind of gauge a good challenge, and I would say I probably undershot that a little bit. If I was going to do my 3 to 5 sets of that lat pull down today, I'd probably take that up just a little bit. Yeah, my heart rate was still elevated from the front squat just a little bit, and I don't know that it really got challenged a whole lot on that lat pull down. So for me, that's probably just a little bit light. But again, at 3 to 5 sets, the goal is not to smash your muscles, it's to challenge your heart rate. And since I'm feeling pretty good, not really going to take much of a rest at all, just going to go right into my RDLs. Tuck my shirt in a little bit. And I realized about halfway through that set that I was moving way too fast. So I'm going to tag on some extra reps here and try to be a little bit more realistic about my timing. That's a common problem for me as a lifter. Is a lot of times I will let my seconds be replaced by counts. So I'll end up counting to 5, but only like 3 seconds have gone by. So for me as a lifter, that's a common problem. And some of you guys watching this video are probably like rolling your eyes at some of my reps that I said were going to be 5 seconds and they're like 3 seconds. So that's something that I could use a bit more coaching on. Now in the moment, it'd be nice to have somebody counting them off so I can get a realistic view, but also my mind just kind of wandered as the next thing I'm going to talk about. So do a better job of keeping your tempos than I was. All right, so that is our tempo workout, or at least it could be like one set. I don't know necessarily about circuiting through them like that. Got my heart rate up, which is the most important thing, but I think if I was going to do this regularly, I would probably stick with one movement and do like vertical loading, or excuse me, horizontal loading. So I would stick with just push-ups until I was done with push-ups, and then just front squats until I was done with front squats, and then just lat pull downs until I was done with lat pull downs, and then just RDLs until I was done with RDLs. But that circuiting format, yeah, I got my heart rate up a little bit as well. But that circuiting, I think you would lose track of how fatigued and what the appropriate intensity is on that exercise. And so that'd be another reason just to do horizontal loading and stick to whatever exercise you're on until you're done with it. So we're done with tempo. Now we're going to move on to high intensity cardio training. And what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to hop on a bike for 10 minutes. So I'm going to be lazy and just do 10 minutes instead of 20. I'm going to hop on a bike for one set of 10 minutes. And I'm going to crank up the max resistance and do about 20 to 30 RPMs. And I'm going to try to get my heart rate somewhere around that 150 to 160 mark. Just maxed out the resistance here. And I've got my RPMs over here. And so 20 to 30 RPMs. Let's see. we're just gonna slow it down a little bit. Now my legs are feeling fresh, and this intensity on this biking unit is not, I'm not scared yet, but in a few minutes here, who knows what's gonna happen. So we're just gonna go slow and steady. I'm above that 20 to 30 RPMs. But my heart rate is, yeah, fairly active. Just a little reminder on how to collect your heart rate. You can hop in on your jugular and time for, if you time for 10 seconds, then you're multiplied by 6. If you time for 15 seconds, you can multiply by 4. Times 660. So right now my heart rate's in the low 100s, so not quite where we want it to be. So I'm gonna raise my RPMs just a little bit, since I can't raise the resistance. Just gonna raise my RPMs just a little bit to try to get into that heart rate zone. Aiming for a heart rate of about 150. Check my heart rate again. Yeah, heart rate is not picking up to where I want to be. And my legs are not burning too bad either. So I do not think that it's because I'm a physical specimen and I can't get held back. I think maybe the resistance on this particular unit is just a hair light. So again, I don't think it's because of the user. I would say I just need a little bit more resistance. So just gonna kick up my speed a little bit, and I'll keep my RPMs over 50 for a little bit and see how that feels. I'd say the musculature that I'm attempting to fatigue here, my quads are obviously gonna get engaged, but I prefer to try to activate my hamstrings and my glutes a little bit as well. These are often undertrained muscles. They have a lot of potential to be challenged more and to perform more. right, 6 minutes in. I'll admit I was a little bit more nervous for some type of crazy muscle burn, but I'm not really hurting too bad. So I'm gonna take it up to, I'm gonna try to keep it over 55 RPM. I'll do a heart rate check. Yeah, heart rate is still not up high enough, so we're gonna keep it over 60. So again, as I'm trying to get those hamstrings and glutes firing, I'm gonna contract them a little bit more than maybe feels natural or intuitive. So I'll turn my feet outward on the pedals, and I'll just try to drive and squeeze those, squeezing those glutes and kind of pulling the hamstrings. Once I'm done pushing, I try to pull a little bit with the hamstring. And I feel my heart rate jumping up with this above 60 RPM. And my legs are burning pretty good. Oh. That's probably a good sign that I accidentally dipped below 60. So a good sign that some fatigue is starting to set in. And now the quads are talking to me a little bit. Yeah, heart rate is starting to climb up a little bit here, but not really getting that 150 mark. Now, if I was using a rower, I imagine with challenging more muscles to get the job done, both upper and lower, I imagine my heart rate would be higher. I also slipped, if I'm trying to stay above 60, I slipped once or twice. I'm gonna go extra 10 seconds here so that I can make up for some lost time in the beginning. All right, so my legs are definitely wobbly. Like, I have some pretty good pump in my quads right now. My head is shinier. I think I'm a little bit balder than I was 20 minutes ago, so that's cool. Yeah, I can't say that I hit the heart zone. I don't know that my heart rate was steadily at 150 during those 10 minutes, but towards the end there, as my muscles were fatiguing. You even saw staying above 60 RPM early on, I didn't have to think about it. And towards the end there, I was basically kind of grunting to get the job done. So as my muscles were fatiguing and I was having trouble replacing my energy, my heart had to do more. So if I had gone to 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I'm confident that my heart rate would have climbed up. My heart rate would have climbed up and been in the right zone. But for now, maybe I didn't get my heart rate up to 150, but I did accomplish, some localized fatiguing and stress in certain muscle groups. But again, that's not really the goal. The goal there is to make that a cardiovascular effort. Now, if I was, let's say I was a cyclist, and this was a true bike or an indoor bicycle, or my competition bike up on like an indoor ergometer, then localized muscle fatigue and stress could be a good thing, because that might be what holds me back when I'm competing. But if I'm some kind of other athlete and I'm doing this for training, and the goal of the training is to boost my cardiovascular ability, then I would go back to saying that the goal is to keep the goal the goal, and that maybe this was not the best form of training. It was definitely okay. I mean, I'm still huffing and puffing, and it's been a couple minutes since I got off. So it was good, but not great. And then from my earlier training, I would just remind you that I probably wasn't doing a very good job of having tempo on my reps. I would say that would be a weak point from the demonstration earlier. So you guys make sure to do better than I did and have good tempo on your reps. And it's okay if it's not terribly heavy, because this is not strength training, this is not hypertrophy training, this is a form of challenging your heart. So a lot of times we get injured athletes, and maybe it's like an ankle sprain for a basketball player, and that basketball player has a pretty high work capacity demand. So while their ankle is unable to perform and they can't run around and do all those things for conditioning and staying in shape, maybe you're having them do like a seated arm bike or seated battle ropes or one-legged battle ropes. And the goal there is to keep their heart in shape, so that when that ankle is healed, they are as close to possible to being 100%. Or often, I've seen this myself and I've heard about it in several other cases, sometimes athletes will get hurt, and while they're hurt, they end up working on a weakness of theirs. Whether, let's stick with that basketball player, maybe their ankle gets injured, and maybe they're not in the best for work capacity on the team. Well, while their ankle's healing up, maybe they end up doing a lot of, since they're not practicing and they're not going on team runs or anything like that, maybe they end up doing a lot of conditioning work. And once that ankle heals up, maybe their heart is basically bigger and stronger than it ever has been before. And so then when they return to the basketball court, yes, it'll take some time to get the ankle fully prepared to go and for the leg muscles to bounce back to getting in shape. But if you've changed that athlete's cardiovascular abilities and cardiovascular anatomy, sometimes they end up going back and playing better and feeling better than they really ever have. So that's pretty interesting to see that in person. So that basketball player is not a story from my own past. What I have seen would be football players with hamstring injuries, and we end up doing a crazy amount of upper body work, and then when they go back to playing, their upper bodies are stronger than they've ever been, and it's an advantage for them. They actually benefited from downtime and injury time. So there's pros and cons to actually focusing on just the heart rate versus picking on other muscles. But I would say if the goal is to keep the goal. So if you're looking for cardiovascular work and improvements, I would say I would let my heart rate be my biggest guide there. Although there are some other benefits to doing this type of training, the muscular fatigue, the potential hypertrophy that occurs, the potential rate increase in mitochondria in the skeletal muscle as well as the cardiac muscle in your heart. Yeah, so I think that about does it for today. As usual, watch out for notes and amendments below the video, just because I'll try to go back and find something silly that I said because I was out of breath and I didn't have a whole lot of blood in my brain, or just something that I wanted to add that I totally forgot to speak on. And yeah, I think we already recapped on our first workout with the 4 exercises, and we've kind of talked in circles now. So I think that's it. Awesome, guys. We'll see you next time.